lucky suckers.
The
Vikings.
Oh my God! Kirko's here!
Okay, calm down.
9 to noon.
You like that? You like that?
Now, what did I do wrong?
I mean, pick your poison with that defense.
The Purple Crush with a royal flush. Doing the gritty down in Sin City.
Play action, Kirk, back to pass. He'll throw right. Look at that! Jefferson uncovered, 20-15-10. Dances to the right to the 5. Dives for the end zone. Touchdown! And JJ is killing him again. It's a 36-yard touchdown, and Minnesota leads 16-0.
From blizzards and snow to a Vegas strip show.
Za'Darius Smith blitzes from the middle. Aaron pumps, sees nothing. Rolls out to the left. Throws it up for grabs. Intercepted! Yes, it was! By Harry the Hitman! And by the way, that is Aaron Rodgers' first interception in a division game since the beginning of 2020. He got picked off by the Hitman!
Kirko takes his drip to the strip.
A.J. Dillon flexes out of the backfield, play action to Aaron Jones. Rodgers floats out left, and he's sacked again. Third time he's been sacked this game, and this one goes the way of Daniil Hunter. Welcome back, 9-9.
He steps inside here from the ring. Chaotic circumstances that only bring pain.
Hey, what's going on now? Hey. Welcome to the Friday football. Say it again now and let's be loud and proud. It's a Friday. It's Buffalo Wild Wings Oakdale. Oakdale got all the money today. It's the Friday football. What's going on? Anybody want a t-shirt? Make a little bit of noise right now. Buffalo Wild Wings with a very nice crowd. Well, how about this? I'm Paul Allen, the host of 9 to Noon at FM 100.3 KFAN. Your home for everything funky and fun in Minnesota Vikings football and PJ's team going 2-0 tomorrow and so on and so on and so on. This is the Friday Football Feast, a radio show at Buffalo Wild Wings Oakdale. We've known about for quite some time. To the left of me, a trusty companion, formerly a bass player for Little River Band and also quite the accomplished songwriter. He wrote a song called Reminiscing and also co-wrote a song for the co-host who is not here called Lonesome Loser. Ladies and gentlemen, can I get a witness and a raucous round of applause for Jared Wells, J-Dub. And the street team, the promotion staff, Abby and everybody. Hey, how about them doing all the dirty work? How about this? I mean, I hope our favorite football team, the Minnesota Vikings, is more prepared for the season than the co-host PA Charch and also former linebacker Chad Greenway. I mean, they've left me here all by myself at Buffalo Wild Wings Oakdale, but that's okay because you truly never are by yourself when you are amidst the purple and gold. You have become one. I am yoked up with Skull Nation. So I'm never alone, and we're never alone. We are together at Buffalo Wild Wings Oakdale, ready for the Minnesota Vikings to start the season by battering the Buccaneers. Can I get a witness and a raucous round of applause from this crowd? Yeah, the more things change, the more they stay the same. It's just the ways and means become rearranged, right? I mean, the regular season begins Sunday at noon on KFAN, pregame at 10 a.m. I got J-Dub. He is the technical guidance for the Minnesota Vikings radio network. We'll be by each other's side, yoked up on Sunday at noon, then Thursday at 7 and change at Philadelphia, then a couple of Sundays later against the Chargers, and so on and so on and so on. He is a man of reliability. Likewise for mad producer Eric Nordquist. He's here for the Boom. The Boom being 9 a.m. and a Friday football feast at Buffalo Wild Wings Oakdale. We've known about for weeks, if not months. So let's put it this way. As this radio show goes, all right? Now, granted, I would be a quarterback guiding a radio show for my 25th year, like a quarter century, something like that. So some would say you're old. Some would say you're a crafty veteran. Many may say it's time to hang it up, Paul Allen. Your better days are behind you. All I know is when I take the snap and I verbally go back to throw a pass, Jared Wells is there with reliability to the left side, and Eric Nordquist is there with reliability to the right side. So I know I got my teammates to whom I can throw the rock and make plays. And once again, hopefully the Minnesota Vikings are more well prepared for the season than the co-host of the Friday Football Feast, Paul Charch, who just has arrived. Nordo, hey. Thank you very much for being there on time.
No problem.
Jared, thank you for being there on time. Chad Greenway listening in his car right now. This next statement may be cringe-worthy to you. Greenway went to the wrong Buffalo Wild Wings. So now I'm about ready to crack open this new Fox 9 thing. By the way, they told me 8:50, so I was here at 8:42. That's just what we do at KFAN. And he said, dude, how do you go to the wrong Buffalo Wild Wings? I mean, seriously, how do you have that kind of cash and cachet and respect with what you did during the course of an illustrious career, and then you wake up one morning and you're like, I live in Minnetonka. Oakdale must be to the west, so I think I'm going to head that way. Oh, no! Right. So Chad Greenway is en route, and he will be part of the Friday Football Feast somewhere within the next 10 minutes. Coming up a little later, we have a former safety who played for the Vikings named Jeff Wright. Every so often, Silent Sammy, Tom West, the publicist, he will provide a Minnesota Vikings legend on air, on site, on demand, and hopefully on fire. It's a cat named Jeff Wright who played 71 to 77 with the Minnesota Vikings. He started like 62 games. He started all 3 Super Bowls. Ooh. And he has 3 postseason interceptions, which is tied for second most in the history of the Minnesota Vikings. So I'm excited to meet Jeff Wright about an hour from now at Buffalo Wild Wings. He will be preceded by Vikings Chief Operating Officer Andrew Miller, who will be calling KFAN, and we'll chat with him for a few minutes about opening weekend festivities and things that are transpiring at U.S. Bank Stadium this weekend, involving not only the Vikings battering the Bucs, but Bud Grant and much more. So that'll take place nearing the end of the 9. Then we get into the legend about 25% through the 10. And then Gabe Henderson from Vikings.com and Vikings Entertainment Network, main man G, he will be here at 11 o'clock, on air, on demand, on time, and on fire. That's what the Friday Football Feast looks like today. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for Jared Wells, if only for the work he did writing songs for Little River Band. Likewise for Eric Nordquist. He's mad producer back at KFAN. Get loud for mad producer. That's Paul Charch, and I'm Paul Allen. The Friday Football Feast continues from after this.
Holy Toledo! I knew we was going to beat them clowns.
Oh, well.
Football Feast.
Thinking of those days gone by now.
Wow, wasn't that fun?
Music in the air.
And.com.
The Fan.
producer, scratch that thing now. Hey. All right. Friday football feast at Buffalo Wild Wings Oakdale. Paul Charchian, the co-host for 15 years, has arrived. And also, ladies and gentlemen, one of the great defensive players in the history of Minnesota Vikings football. Can I get a witness and a raucous round of applause for Chad Greenway?
Hey. What up? We made it.
So, Buffalo Wild Wings Crystal for you?
Yeah, that's where I was. That's where I was heading. Whoops.
Well, how's it happen?
Too many years of B-Dubs Friday football feast. I got caught in just I got to look at my calendar day one.
I understand.
And have a plan, drop the kids up at school, and away we go. So here we are. We made it.
So the Vikings, the fan has learned, hooked the Tampa Bay Buccaneers this weekend at noon. Your guy, Baker Mayfield, he played 10 games last year with two teams. All right, Carolina and the LA Rams. He went 2-8. And get this, 2-8 is going to happen. Touchdown to interception ratio being good or bad is going to happen. In 10 games last year, he managed to get sacked 3.6 times each game. Seriously, you can be like, well, the offensive line, not every single sack. Seriously, with how long he holds the ball and freaks out and stuff like that, 3.6 sacks a game in just 10 last year. We got to get after that man this weekend, and good morning.
And good morning. That's a juicy number for our defensive line, and really a question mark going into the season for me is how much pressure can we get after people with our front four, especially on third downs and got to have it situations. And, you love to see a quarterback who's getting up those kinds of numbers because at the end of the day, like PA said, the reality is it's not all on the offensive line. There's protection issues, there's O-line issues, but there's also decision-making issues, and he's obviously has some of those.
The offensive line for the Bucs is not good. It was bad last year. They had tons of injuries, but it's also bad this year. Their center, who might be a Hall of Famer, Ryan Jensen, he blew out his knee last year and decided not to have surgery and try the homeopathic, non-invasive stuff. Didn't work, and now he's out another year, and it's probably a career for him.
Yikes.
And they really only have one good offensive lineman, Tristan Wirfs, who's great. If we can't get pressure on Baker Mayfield in this game, I'm worried.
Yeah, and I think what you see is when you have new pieces coming in and the communication issues that will come with that is, and all of a sudden now with Mr. Flores bringing his new defensive scheme and some pressure and some looks, can they identify those looks and the pressures and can they pick them up even if they can identify them just from a talent standpoint? Obviously, Wirfs is a stud. Go Hawks. It's just what the Iowa Covenant provides is the stud O-lineman.
You saw Jack Campbell last night?
Yes. Yep.
Oh, what a play!
Saw Jack. And Laporta put his name all over that thing too with 5 catches. So, the defensive names on the Bucs do scare you. They have some talented guys, some guys that have been in the league for a long time, that make plays, big plays. The offensive weaponry does not scare you.
No.
So it's going to be a very interesting matchup for us.
Now, you mentioned Tristan Wirfs. Their offensive line is a conundrum in its own right. Their left guard is a free agent from the LA Chargers. All right, so maybe he can play, maybe he can't, but nevertheless, it's something new. Their center, the one replacing Jensen like he did last year, he's a converted tackle. So, he came into the NFL as a tackle. Their right guard, Cody Mock, is a second-round rookie from North Dakota State University by way of Hankinson, North Dakota, and I think Breckenridge, Minnesota. But nevertheless, Cody may have a super bright future. He missed practice yesterday with a back that he incurred Wednesday at practice, so we'll see if he plays today, practices today. But he also, it also will be his first game. And then their right tackle is also jumping into that spot for the first time in his career. So, that's murky. That's a conundrum. But Tristan Wirfs, with 46 starts, and he's a stud, ain't no doubt about it. Great pedigree. 46 starts at right tackle. When he knew moving to left tackle was actually going to take place, back in July, he had such bad anxiety that he visits the team psychologist basically multiple times a week and has been all the way through August because of the move to left tackle and the anxiety my man's had.
Well, the confidence you have to play left tackle is like playing corner. Essentially, at the end of the day, in that same position, you're on an island. In a lot of cases, we're going to say you're our best player. You got to go 1v1 versus whoever. And sometimes can you get 2? Yeah. That's how good you are. So I understand that, and that's a tough move. and it's a move that he's going to have to transition through, especially having a weaker, other 4 members of the offensive line. Love Mock from NDSU. I met him this last summer. Really rooting for that guy because he's a great dude, but obviously Skull Vikes, and we want to get a win. So we don't want him to get a win in his first game.
No, he's got to learn in his first game.
I love the story of hurt his back this week of practice when you go through 6 weeks of training camp, where the heck it's been.
Right.
And you're an O-lineman.
Well,
like on Wednesday, you just had to hit one more day before the game.
Right.
Hurt a back.
Well, I mean, he practiced Wednesday, did not practice yesterday. It said back.
Yeah.
And I mean, quite honestly, with all due respect to the Mock family, I had heard of him coming into the draft. Outside of the red hair flowing out of the helmet that I saw at the combine, I couldn't pick him out of a 2-person lineup standing next to Steve Hutchinson. So I have no idea how well or how poorly he plays. I just know somebody anointed him as a starter next to a center who used to be a tackle, a right tackle who is new at his situation, a left tackle who's wearing the pewter for the first, a left guard wearing the pewter for the first time in his life, and a left tackle who has to see a psychologist.
Amen.
Even though he's a very highly selected first-round pick, because he's nervous about the spot. Not that it's bad seeing the psychologist. I'd prefer you do that than internalize and fall into a hole, Tristan. But nevertheless, that's the state of the Tampa Bay Moving Company.
Like 7 or 8 years ago, Paul and I were talking to an offensive lineman who I will not name, who was being asked to go from the right side to the left side. And he was really struggling and we talked to him and he said, well, it's all mirror image. All of your footwork is the exact opposite of everything that you've been trained to do. And Paul and I are like, well, all right, that sounds reasonable. I guess that's why it takes a while to make that transition. Then Sullivan comes on with us and he's like, F that. Just go play.
Yeah.
That's a bunch of excuses. We don't care. It's not that hard. Just go play.
Yeah, here's my only experience with that is playing the punt team. And you are in that similar stance, a tackle stance. You're kick stepping back and you're kind of looking at identifying where the twists are going to come from so the punt doesn't get blocked.
Yeah.
And I can remember I've always played the right side. And anytime I do the left side footwork, it was like I was throwing a football with my left hand.
Yeah.
So I can tell you that Sullivan, who sits in a square stance,
center,
and has only played one position on the offensive line his whole life, if you made Sullivan play left tackle, he would quit because there would not be a position for him. So we're not going to listen to him.
All right.
But we are going to listen to these tackles who sit in that same stance, get comfortable left foot forward or right foot forward over the course of many, many reps, thousands of reps, and now you're asked to flip and you don't feel comfortable. And it may be a thing where if I throw a football left-handed for the next 6 months, after 6 months, I'm still not going to be comfortable. So, maybe that's why some left tackles are just born. We say, left tackles are born.
Yeah. And, they're trying to make one out of a right tackle. And it'll probably work, but does it all work in games?
As long as it works in our favor, that's all we care.
And it probably will, right? Yeah, it probably will. Now, for Baker Mayfield, which Paul alluded to earlier, it's been obviously not the career that we thought it was going to be. He won Rookie of the Year. I mean, it looked very promising early. It never all came together. But he's also never had Chris Godwin and Mike Evans to throw to. In fact, I bet if I ask people right now, name a wide receiver Baker Mayfield has ever thrown to, people would struggle. I mean, he's going to have the best supporting wide receiver cast of his career by a mile.
He didn't even get Cooper Kupp last year.
No.
I think, right? Because he was out?
No, yeah, right. He was out for Cooper Kupp, right? He's throwing to Van Jefferson and Ben Skrowa.
Well, a lot of these guys that come in the NFL, it's about their situation they get put into. Where's the draft take them? What's the situation they have offensively? The coaching. I mean, all that stuff matters. And clearly, Baker Mayfield's a talented guy. College shows that. He's earned the right to work his way up in college and gets that right, earns Rookie of the Year. I mean, he's a talented guy. Can you find the right system and the right coach that can make the right play calls to put him in a great situation? And, as of this point, he's had ups and downs, to say the least. Again, we just don't want him to get right on Sunday.
Speaking of getting your rookie into the right place at the right time, what do you think of Caleb Williams' dad saying, our kid could skip this draft if we don't like where he's going to go? What do you think of that?
I mean, he's game planning. I mean, I like it. At the end of the day, this is a decision where if the wrong organization is going to pick one, and he's going to be the clear-cut number one, said, well, come back for one more. The NIL money is probably really good for him out in California.
Yep.
And he's got all these opportunities. Now, again, you have the risk factor of injury and all these other things that come into that decision. But if the wrong club is sitting there at one, just take it out. Take a year off. It'd be unprecedented.
Well, he could go back to school.
Well, the NBA, they go to Europe, or they go and they come back after a year. But I don't think you can do that in the league. So.
No. But in this case, the NIL money is what's changing this, right? Is. He can just stay at USC. He's going to make many millions of dollars playing at USC. And that makes it a lot easier to not go to the NFL and get paid more.
And the only thing that's guaranteed in football is injury. And I think that's the one thing you look at from a football standpoint is like this. It's going to happen. You're going to catch especially he runs, he's active, he's out of the pocket, he's going to catch an ankle or something, and all of a sudden now that decision looks really silly because you want to go scoop your chips when you can. Because there's like 3 chances in your life to really scoop chips typically. And Caleb Williams is coming into one of those massive ones.
If Caleb Williams suffered a ACL today, he'd be the first round. He'd be the first pick in next year's draft.
Well, we'll see how that recovery goes.
I think you
would.
Never know. I think you would. I mean, just where we are with ACLs now. You know, Joe Burrow blew out his.
It's a fair point.
Fine. I mean, it's just
a fair point.
Different than it used to.
But timing can factor into that. All of a sudden, happens at the end of the year. He's not ready for the draft, and there's lots of factors that go into the injury piece. But obviously, you're right. I mean, if everything goes well, he can take a year off and come back and be the next guy.
Yeah. Were you ever on the field with Mike Evans? Did you guys cross?
I don't remember years. Maybe the very beginning of his career.
Yeah.
He was 20. Anthony Barr had the scoop and score in Anthony's rookie year. The scoop and score down.
Oh yeah, that was huge.
2014.
I don't know if Mike Evans was in.
Remember the tight end?
With three names.
Yep.
3 names.
ASJ were the initials.
Safarian Jenkins.
Austin Safarian.
Just the scoop and score. Anthony Barr, welcome to the league. Yeah, that was play.
Yeah, that was huge, wasn't it?
Yes, that was fun.
So, Mike Evans has had a great career. He's openly talking about changing teams, which you don't see a lot of.
Yep.
He wants a new deal by Sunday. And if he doesn't get it, he's already talked about going to his next team.
Yeah.
And so if the Bucs are going to be as bad as we think they are, he may only be on this roster for, the next, 5-6 weeks before they end up trading him.
Well, like anything that's a little scary in this league is there's no team that's as bad as you think they're going to be. Very rarely, over the course of the last 10, 15, 20 years where you look at a team like they're not going to be very good. This team can beat you all day. And you have to come in prepared, ready to go. So, I don't like that mentality at all from a team standpoint.
Yeah.
But the reality is he wants out for several reasons, mostly because he wants money. Because if he was paid a formidable contract, he'd be just fine.
He'd be just fine there.
All in.
Yeah, for sure. Although he's won a Super Bowl with Tom Brady, so he doesn't.
What more do you want?
Right. I mean, that's so he doesn't necessarily have to go find a winner so he can finally get his Super Bowl ring.
He wants dollars. Come on.
Now, you referenced, or actually when we were talking earlier, the Lions beating the Chiefs last night. And I was thinking about you during the course of the game when they were showing Chris Jones in a sweep. So Chris Jones has a suite at Arrowhead. He can come back after the 8th game or whatever. I mean, just all the minutia and the details and the politics of it, just put that to the side for a second. They didn't have Chris Jones last night. So you being in meeting rooms with coordinators or position coaches, Pug, Adam Zimmer, may God rest his soul, so on and so on and so on. The
Singletary.
The Singletary. Singletary would be the perfect example. Thank you. Because the extents to which they go to try to motivate you guys with any scenario they can find. So into the game, Steve Spagnuolo was preaching, quote, they think we suck without Chris. Everybody thinks we suck without Chris. We just can't win without Chris.
Yeah.
He was just going down that road hard last night before the game, right?
Oh, had to be, right? Yeah, I mean, it's one of those situations where you look at that Chiefs team from last night, and that's not the Chiefs team that we saw at the end of the year last year.
No.
I mean, that's not the most talented Chiefs team that's been rolled out in the last 5 years.
No. Didn't look like it.
And as much as we wanted, everybody's going to jump on the Detroit. They're about to win the Super Bowl, and here come the Motor City Kitties. It's like, just pump the brakes, right? Let's have a little Coach Prime pump the brakes here. We're not going to anoint ourselves the national champs or the Super Bowl champs. But the reality is that's a good football team. But that Chiefs team is decimated right now from just a mentality standpoint. The top players, I mean, you name it. It's not the team that we saw last year.
Well, I'm not taking anything away from the Lions necessarily here, but if Kadarius Toney simply hadn't suited up, that's a Chiefs win.
Yeah.
Kadarius Toney had one catch for, I think, 0 yards.
How about those drops?
He had a negative 1 yard run. He had 4 drops, and he gave a touchdown to the other team.
Yeah.
If he had simply not suited up, the Chiefs would have won that game.
Yeah, I saw a picture of that play on the pick six where he was the only one in the picture and the ball was right at his hands.
Right.
And how did this turn into be 6 points for Detroit? And that's how it happens. I mean, the reality is listen, anytime you win a game like that, the hype machine's going to come, and that's a good football team. But we got to look at what the Chiefs have and what they had. And again, the Chris Jones bit, that is one of the most dominant players I've ever seen. Firsthand, on TV, that guy is a game wrecker. And there are very few of them. J.J. Watt in his prime was that guy in the defensive line.
Aaron Donald.
There's guys, Aaron Donald. He is in that same breath. And he is so physically dominant.
But see,
he wasn't there.
And Aaron plays one position, maybe 1.5 or 2. Chris plays them all. I mean, right defensive end, left defensive end, nose tackle, 3 technique. He's the best defensive player in the National Football League, and that's with no due respect to Aaron Donald. Aaron's elite. Aaron's high end. So is Quinnen Williams, Dexter Lawrence, some of these corners, Sauce Gardner, stuff like that. Chris Jones, because of his position flexibility, there's not a defensive player in the NFL I would take before him.
Well, you imagine walking up as an offensive lineman and just trying to identify him out of the huddle.
Yeah.
I mean, really what it is you're turning yourself into a defensive player in the O-line, because every time they come out of the huddle, I got to find my guys, right?
Him. Yeah.
Where are they at? Well, they're doing that now. You have to account for him. Again, taking the game plan to the offense. I think all of a sudden he's on the left end, now the left tackle's right end, now the left tackle's engaged. If he's inside, everything changes, the scheme changes. Where's the double team going to be? I mean, he changes the game on several levels, including he's a complete specimen, and he is one of the strongest humans on the field I've ever seen. I mean, the things he does is impressive.
Now, the Lions, the favorites to win the NFC North, more heavily favored now than they were at this time yesterday. 1-0, Vikings and Bucks this weekend. The Lions faked a punt from the -18. And very early in the game. And when and they got it, and it was a direct snap to this cat who ran basically off left guard, fell ahead for the first down at the -18ish. That's a no lose scenario for Dan Campbell, because seriously, if you get it, which they did, and then they went down and scored, cool. If you don't get it, you got these guys running through walls for you, knowing he's so cocksure and has such deeply rooted belief in us. He's going to do anything, anywhere to win. Yeah. Man, he's pushing all the right buttons over there.
Yeah, he is. It comes down to, he's a leader. Yeah. I mean, you could talk about coaching all day long. You could talk about X's and O's. And where do the majority of these head coaches in the NFL fail? They fail because they can't lead, because they're X's and O's guys. You take a guy who's a great OC, a great DC, and you bring him in and say, you're going to be now our head coach. But all he wants to do is be the OC or the DC, because he doesn't want to give up control. Campbell's a leader.
Yeah, he is.
He talks like a leader. His speeches get you going. He knows his team. He understands what makes him tick. He feels them, and they feel him. And in the league, it's very hard to get a guy. And again, he's got playing experience. He asks him to do things that he knows they're capable of doing. Right? It's not fake. He's not a fraud. And the guys are believing it. And that's very hard to do in this day and age, in this NFL, with these new kids coming in and the NIL and the money. And look at me. I mean, he's doing it, and it's because he's a leader first. He's a head coach first. He is an X's and O's guy, but that's not where he comes from. Yeah. He comes from leadership, and that's the biggest difference.
Jared Goff and Kirk Cousins are the same person for different reasons. They're just the same player. Goff moves a little. I think Kirk moves a little better. They're both accurate. They both have good arms. They're both accurate down the field. They both can go outside the numbers, and they're both underrated. I mean, they're like the same person, but for different reasons.
Goff with Jeff Fisher, though, can we talk about that for that year? Yikes. Yeah. He looked like a mess, and all of a sudden he gets in the right situation, and look at him.
Yeah, better coaching. He goes through a Super Bowl with Sean McVay.
Yeah. It's incredible what happens when you get the guy in the right system, because with Fisher, his first year, he looked brutal, like he was going to be a complete bust.
Right. Yeah, it's because Fisher was a complete bust.
Well, there you go.
In my opinion.
Yeah, but the reality is Goff. The thing that scared me last night about Detroit is that run, that score. Who's the running back again? Can't think of his name.
Jimmy or
David Montgomery.
David Montgomery.
Montgomery.
That Gibbs is nice.
Yeah, Bears, Iowa State bit Montgomery, right? Stud. That power they ran, that inside power, was so well blocked, and he hit. The timing was good. The physicality was good. That's the part that worries me about Detroit long term, is when you get to late in the season, which we have 2 out of 3. If they're healthy and that's going, that's a real problem in December.
Well, Montgomery, the inside guy, Gibbs, the outside guy. Then they stretched Montgomery one time and it didn't work. But we just want to show you, we will stretch him. And the Alabama kid, we will run him between the tackles, even though he got like 2 yards. Amon-Ra St. Brown, everything's in the middle of the field. Josh Reynolds, low-key, is somebody Kevin O'Connell always has spoken very highly of from his days with the Rams. Laporta is not Hawkinson-esque. He's bigger. He's not as fast.
Yep.
And on the Montgomery touchdown, I mean, he came across the formation, smacked somebody at the 2.
Yep.
I ain't saying TJ can't do that. You just don't see him do it very often. So from that standpoint, to the free agent corners they brought in, to your Iowa guy in the middle just usurping the hell out of Malcolm Rodriguez, who I thought they liked from last year.
Yep.
Aiden Hutchinson could be a defensive MVP type guy. I wouldn't bet him to win it, but he could win it. Yeah, they have everything going on right now. The offensive line's the best in the division, and they're continuing to ascend.
Yeah, and I think when you look at that run and bring up that play specifically, because it was not even the fact that it was a touchdown and all looked great. It was the technique, the angle. I mean, it was just, again, sometimes things fall into place, but football is a very imperfect game. It's the most imperfect game possible. And for them to be all on the right plane, all on the right angle, for him to hit it, it was beautiful. I'm like, okay, that's scary, because if that's something they can do late in the season with Goff's ability to run play action pass, all of a sudden you're bringing another guy into the box, you have 8, and now you're asked to play man-to-man outside, and they have some guys that can win. So that's the stuff that scares you.
The Lions are, I'm not saying they are a Dan Barrero trademarked team without a weakness, but they don't have a lot of obvious spots you can point to anymore where you go, well, that's how you're going to go beat them.
Yep.
They improved their secondary was really bad, and that's how you could go beat the Lions. But they just put Patrick Mahomes on a so-so game.
Yep.
Granted, the receiver drops were bad, and there were some different. Travis Kelce wasn't in the game, obviously. Noah Gray made a business decision on a downfield reception that he could have had.
Unbelievable.
Yes. How do you do that?
Bye-bye career doing that.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, we don't know. I'm not saying the secondary is great, but they added all these veterans into their secondary now that at least know what to do and where to go and where to be. And they're just goofing around with the Jeff Okudas of the world.
They're just going to be hard to beat. That's the way, probably the best way to put it is they're not going to probably hurt themselves. They're not going to beat themselves. They're going to make everything hard and challenge everything. And I think when you have a team that's that solid, well coached and together, they're just a tough out.
Yeah.
And that's what you expect. This is the league, man. I mean, it's going to be like this. Just like you play the Bucs first week 1, like you could say how bad they're going to be. That's a team that can beat you all day. So, like, you got to show up and ready to play and every week, and so do the Detroit, and so does everybody else. So, I'm just excited for our team to get on the field. I'm excited for this defense to see what that's going to look like. I'm excited for this offense to get fired up and going.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear, I know the conversation with JJ with the contract, and I wish that was done. I wish that was over.
There's still a chance it gets done. This is a league of deadlines, and Week 1 is a deadline, like we were talking about with Mike Evans, for new deals. And so there's still a scenario where JJ gets a deal done in the next couple of days here.
Yeah, I mean, and I would love to see it. Because
I would too.
To have a happy JJ would be really good.
That would be nice.
Yes.
Chad Greenway, courtesy of Grey Duck Vodka and Grey Duck Spirits. I don't want you to leave before causing you to remember and or hearken to this, because I mentioned the name earlier, and it just makes me laugh every time I bring it up, even though not many people will completely understand, but I think you will. We mentioned Steve Spagnuolo, the defensive coordinator for the Kansas City Chiefs. Remember when Lieber played for him in 2011?
I always think of that. Always think of that.
I'll just never forget the first conversation I had with Ben when he got back, and he's going to retire, and he's going to set off into the sunset. Twin Cities Live, Vikings Radio Network, Vikings Entertainment Network, all of that kind of stuff, and just how out of place or that year didn't even. It's like it didn't even exist or happen for him. And that Spagnuolo defense, he was like, "Are you kidding me with this?"
Yeah, that was. I remember talking to Ben when he came back from that situation, and even during when he was in this situation, he was just so set back by how different it could be to play someplace else in the same league.
Yeah,
and then to play for a guy like Spagnuolo, who great, really great coach. He's done all these great things. But reality is like schematically, Ben, who's a smart guy, was like he just didn't understand what the concepts were trying to get across and what was going on. And the way Ben talks about him is hilarious. And the frustration, but the reality is obviously he's the guy who's coaching. He's got a lot of great connections, and this shows you the nepotism in the league for that guy to still be a DC. And
Well, okay. And we love Ben, but it's worked out pretty well for Spagnuolo.
It has, 100% it has.
Created some very good players. He's got a good defense right now. And
but
he may have evolved his coaching.
That's what I was just going to say.
Ben was there a decade ago or whatever. By now it might be a very different.
How much has he evolved as a coach and scaled back or brought things in, or maybe his system's the exact same and Ben just can't handle it. That's the other option.
There is that.
Now the Minnesota Twins get the Mets and the Tampa Bay Rays. Those will be the next two series for the first place Twins. Basically have that whole thing wrapped up. Now we know this is the Friday football feast, but it can be the Friday fastball feast for a first-place team.
Hey.
Minnesota Twins, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Buffalo Wild Wings, covenant claps. If only getting
Let's fire it up.
Postseason, man. Let's get to the playoffs and beat Vlad Guerrero or Marcus Semien or whomever, but that's right around the corner. Grey Duck Spirits and Vodka tied into the Twins. And you know what? Think about this, man. You gotta have some wonderful things planned for not only this weekend, the end of the season, or the postseason with the Grey Duck deck, though.
Yeah, Grey Duck deck has been awesome all summer. It's the place to be if you're in Target Field. I mean, there's nothing better than playoff baseball. Well, other than football season, I suppose.
Yes.
Because as we bring up the Twins, they're like, oh, yeah, that's going on this week, too.
Yeah.
A bunch of Vikings fans in here. But the Grey Duck deck at Target Field has been such a great investment for our team and company. And I think the work with the Twins, love to see them winning. I did see the record compared to the wild card teams in Major League Baseball. I'm like, okay, hey, we're in. We got to get in. All you have is a chance to have a chance.
Yeah.
And all sorts of fun, exciting stuff. We're obviously going to be at U.S. Bank Stadium with our Grey Duck stuff as well, up on the third level. Was it 300 level, I think it's called, U.S. Bank? Nordic Thunder cocktails up there. It's going to be a good fall.
My man, thanks for stopping by. Good luck this weekend, all right?
Yeah, thank you.
Chad Greenway, weekly at the Friday Football Feast, 9 to noon, courtesy of Grey Duck Spirits and Grey Duck Vodka. When 9 to noon continues, we will hook up with Minnesota Vikings Chief Operating Officer Andrew Miller to chat about kickoff weekend. And that will be followed about 30 minutes from now by legendary safety Jeff Wright stopping by and chatting new and old school festivities with us. It's the inaugural Friday Football Feast into its 15th season, feasting with these wonderful fans. We are at Buffalo Wild Wings Oakdale today, and you are listening to the home of Minnesota Vikings football, FM 100.3 KF.
On the Fan.
Joining us now is Minnesota Vikings Chief Operating Officer. He is Andrew Miller. Hey, boss, Paul Allen at Buffalo Wild Wings Oakdale, just up the road from you. What's going on there, Mr. Andrew Miller?
Hey, PA. It's great to be with you. I wish I could be in Oakdale with you guys.
Yeah, it's a nice crowd. This is, the Chief Operating Officer for the Minnesota Vikings is on the phone line right now. So let's just let him know that we're excited about this first game by making some noise, please. Hey. Yeah, they're excited, boss, and I know you are too. It's kickoff weekend. You know, they're from the honoring of Bud Grant to the throwback jerseys to U.S. Bank Stadium. I mean, seriously, there are just so many wonderful things this weekend. Where would you like to begin?
Wherever you do, PA. I mean, it's really exciting. As you know, home opener is always exciting. You mentioned a couple of things that really make this one special, honoring Bud Grant, having the classic uniforms, paying homage to the teams of the 1960s and primarily our 3 Super Bowl teams from the 1970s, and having the Bud patch on the jerseys. It's really a good way to honor our legacy, our legends, and the incredible memory of Bud Grant.
Andrew, Paul Charch, nice to talk to you. And this really goes back to something the Wilfs said when they bought the team, and they've really made good on the promise to better recognize the alumni, the historic Vikings that helped build this franchise to a level of greatness in the 60s, 70s, 80s. And the Wilfs have said that they were going to emphasize that, and it wasn't just words. They've really gone out of their way in the, 15 years since they've owned the team to really make that happen.
Yeah, the Wilfs deserve a lot of credit for that, and the players, the alumni recognize that, and we believe that our job is to advance their legacy. We inherited such an incredible history from all the Vikings players, coaches, staff members that have come before us, and our job is to move that forward. And this Sunday we'll have 40 legends in the house for the game, and we're doing a special event tomorrow night. So really honored to be able to be with such great Vikings from the past.
Well, one of the legends is just to my left. He's going to be on at about 10:15. Boss, his name's Jeff Wright, and it's a fantastic story, man. He went to Edina High School, then the University of Minnesota, has the all-time record for interceptions for the Gophers. Then he was drafted in the 15th round of the Minnesota Vikings. Played 71 to 77, started all 3 Super Bowls. I mean, you talk about being able to tell some stories. That's just another part of that legendary weekend. I'm really excited for it. I'm excited to see the new jerseys and what they look like. And, from chatting with Fran Tarkenton yesterday, Andrew, through some other people today, it's the memory of Bud Grant. I mean, it's going to linger forever. I mean, people always have something to say about the dearly departed, and that's going to be a very special part of the weekend, isn't it?
Absolutely. I had a chance to talk to Fran a couple weeks ago, and just hearing from him, some of the memories and some of the things that were important to him as part of the Vikings, tradition and history. But Bud, I had the privilege of getting to know him over the last few years, and didn't unfortunately get to know him as long as you and some of the other people around the organization, but truly left an impact on the Vikings, on Minnesota, on our community, and just I got to learn a lot from him about leadership and frankly how to treat people and what it means to be a man of high character and a parent and a family member.
At this time last year, Andrew, Kevin O'Connell was just in his first year, and when you overhaul your entire coaching staff and all the changes that go with that, there is a lot of change. Tell me just about how TCO might be different in year 2 of Kevin O'Connell's time as head coach.
Yeah, it's really exciting, and Kevin and Kwesi came in last year and did bring a number of new staff members, and so there was some transition as they came in, and obviously a real positive season, a real positive impact on our culture, and it's exciting to think about what we can do moving forward, starting in year 2, as they've got a year under their belts, and as we keep growing together as an organization.
Hey, Andrew, lastly, when Pete and I and Ben and the simulcast, we had our final preseason game against the Arizona Cardinals. Your general manager, Kwesi Adofo-Mensah, was nice enough to join us for the first half of the third quarter. And, the producer, Steve Johnson, he was like, he had the camera just slowly showing the stadium and how beautiful it is, and the pivoting doors were open on the west side. And I said to Kwesi, it's sometimes, it's not necessarily seeing the forest for the trees, but recognizing the blessing that stadium is. And I know The Athletic recently ranked it for amenities and comfortability and things like that, number 1 in the National Football League. But, sometimes we get so wrapped up in our jobs, boss, and we sweat these games and everything, that when we have games at U.S. Bank Stadium, we can just never forget how comfortable and beautiful that place is. Would you agree?
I'm at the stadium now, and it's quiet. It's the calm before the storm, and I'm able to soak all that in. But the Athletics ranking is 100% correct. It is the best stadium in the league. It's a testament to the Wilfs' owners and all of our stadium partners, but most importantly to Vikings fans, because the atmosphere noon on Sunday is one of a kind, with Skol Chan and Gallarhorn right before kickoff. This year we're unveiling a new showtime, so would highly encourage our fans to be in their seats 20 minutes before kickoff to see that. But it's truly a special and unique atmosphere in all of sports.
When you say a new showtime, just expand on that. What is the showtime event pregame?
Yeah, Showtime is what our Vikings Entertainment Network puts together for the pregame intros, video, all the different entertainment elements that go on in the 20 minutes leading up to kickoff. And they do an incredible job, literally, voted best in all of sports. And so for our fans to get to see that, this is going to be a new show. It's going to be slightly different. New elements, new fun things. Don't want to give any spoilers away, but would highly encourage people to be in their seats by 11:40 on Sunday.
Andrew, Chief Operating Officer, Minnesota Vikings. Last one here, we promise. But this is a major opportunity for you here at FM 100.3, KFAN, 9 to noon show, Friday Football Feast. Your counterpart with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is a man named Brian Ford. He's the Chief Operating Officer for the Bucs. How about a little Chief Operating Officer trash talk byplay going back and forth, man? You up for that?
Nah, I think I'll leave that to you guys. But we're up for a really exciting game, and can't wait to have the Bucs in and for our fans to see the home opener.
Boss, appreciate you. See you on the field before the Bucs game, and have a wonderful day. All right, thanks for the time.
Absolutely. Skol.
Yeah, yes, sir. Andrew Miller, Chief Operating Officer for the Minnesota Vikings. All of this is part of TimberTech and TimberTech.com. What's on deck 9 to noon includes Vikings legendary safety Jeff Wright about 20 minutes from now. Gabe Henderson from the Vikings Entertainment Network. He'll be here at 11 o'clock. And the elongated segment, we had as segment number 2 with Chad Greenway, was powered by FVP Batteries. FVP Batteries charging 9 to noon. And you can learn more and find a trusted store near you via FVPparts.com. Nordo produces. We are technically guided on site by J-Dub. Jared Wells by my side. I'm Paul Allen. You're listening to the Friday Football Feast.